Hi, welcome to this video. I'm writing A grade paragraphs for our upcoming controlled assessment. This one is on Curley's wife's relationship with Curley. So here's all the topics we've discussed in my class. I've done a little 4 or 5 minute video on all of these, so please look on our YouTube page. Really will help you for the exam. Like I said, this one will be on the relationship with Curley. Quickly before we get onto the point evidence explains, we want you to be having this feeling going into the exam and this feeling when you get your mark for the exam. So please don't just talk about the plot. I know the plot, so I don't need you to explain it to me. If you talk about plot, all you're going to do is get an E grade in your essay. You're going to get your marks from analysing language, so please try to concentrate on that. So the perfect PE then is point, evidence, explain, which I'm sure you've done at school. Make a simple point. Give evidence, as in a quote, and then explain why your evidence proves your point. Please try to make a really short point. We don't want 3 or 4 points with evidence and explanation all confused. Just make a short, simple point. You're going to get your higher marks in your explanation. Then what we're going to do to get A grades and B grades is we're going to zoom in on a word in the quote, or 1 or 2 words in the quote, and talk about why Steinbeck has chosen them. And then we're going to talk about in context in 1930s America. So the quote I've picked for talking about her relationship with Curley is, "I'm glad you bust up Curley a little bit. He got it coming to him. Sometimes I like to bust him up myself." So that's her talking about her husband. So the point I'm going to make for this is Curley's wife is presented as having a dreadful relationship with her husband. That's probably not worded the best way in the world, but obviously you'll be choosing your own points and stuff. This is just a guide. So all I'll be saying now, my explanation, is why that proves she's got a dreadful relationship. Well, basically it proves it because she's saying that she was glad that he was beat up by Lennie, and that she would like to beat him up himself. So for a woman who's been married to her husband for 2 weeks, that's pretty outrageous, pretty dramatic thing to her to say. So we can obviously tell that marriage is not going well at all and she actually really dislikes him. Also, I've put in brackets here, never seen together, but they're never seen together in the book. So don't confuse the film. In the film, they are together a little bit. But in the book, the only time they were together is when she's died. So that obviously shows that Steinbeck is showing their relationship, that they're poles apart emotionally and they don't communicate because we never see them together. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on some language and discuss why John Steinbeck has chosen those words. So I think we can zoom in on bust. So I'm glad you bust him up, and he got it coming to him. I think we can highlight and zoom in on those words that I've highlighted and underlined. So first of all, I zoom in on bust, because basically bust means she doesn't just want him to be slapped. She doesn't want him to have like a light touch on him when he's beat up. It basically suggests she really wants him to be beat up. Bust almost suggests she wants him to be broken. She really wants him to go through physical pain. Again, a pretty amazing thing to talk about with her husband. And then also, we can zoom in on the phrase coming to him, which is basically saying that she's not saying, oh, he's a lovely guy, he's my husband. She's basically saying he deserved to get beaten up. The way he acts means he deserves to get beaten up by Lennie. Again, pretty outrageous thing for a wife to say about her husband. So basically what we're saying about context 1930s is it's very, very hard for women at the time to get divorces. So if we put that into our structure, so point, Curley's wife is presented as having a dreadful relationship with her husband. Evidence is the quote. Explanation, I'm just going to explain why that shows it's a bad relationship. The fact that Curley's wife openly admits to the other men that she is happy with her husband has been physically attacked and would like to hit himself shows how unhappy she is in the marriage. Then I'm going to zoom in. The use of the verb bust shows she does not want to lightly hit him, but rather really wants to cause him a lot of pain. And then I'm going to zoom in on coming to him. This suggests she really does not like him and think he deserves the beating from Lennie. And then I'm going to talk about 1930s America. In the 1930s, women were stuck in loveless marriages with no real escape route. As she is dependent on him for money, Curley's wife has very little option but to stay on the ranch of a man she dislikes. So again, if you look at all of that, it's 1 sentence for each one. 1 sentence for the point, 1 sentence for my explanation. My zoom in, 1 line on bust. The coming to him, 1 sentence on that. And in my context, I've done a couple of sentences explaining to him. So this isn't 5 or 6 sentences for each one, it's just 1 or 2 for each one, just explaining it. And there's it in a paragraph. So remember, if you just do your point, evidence, explain, which is up onto the green, if you did it really well, you might get a C. If you didn't do it so well, you're looking at a D. But if you add the blue, the zoom in, if you add the pink, the context, you're looking at B grade and A grade paragraphs. So again, point, evidence, explain, zoom in on a word or two words in the quote, discuss 1930s America. Okay, that's it for this video. Any problems, leave me an email.